Bond enters a password at the tournament, pressing the 5 key, JKL. However, later in the movie, he states that the password is Vesper, which doesn't contain JKL. This inconsistency suggests a continuity error. During the poker tournament, Bond tips the dealers with a chip. While this is common in cash games, tournament chips have no monetary value. If the chip had value, he would be tipping with casino funds since his winnings were locked in an account.
Thank you very much.
M throws a newspaper accusing MI6 of killing an unarmed prisoner. However, since Bond escaped the embassy without speaking, no one could have known he was British, even with security footage. Malaka's gun runs out of bullets, and he pulls the trigger to check. While this works with revolvers, a semi-automatic pistol locks open when empty, making this action unnecessary. This mistake is common in Hollywood movies. Bond signs his resignation email with "Sincerely," an Americanized form. In British English, he would use "Yours sincerely," or the formal military phrase, "I remain your most humble and obedient servant." The latter was likely avoided due to his resignation. At Miami Airport, Carlos activates all fire sprinklers with a switch. Real systems trigger individually by heat, not a master switch. If all activated at once, water pressure would drop, reducing fire suppression effectiveness. This mistake appears in many movies. Bond gives up quickly while performing CPR on Vesper. Proper training dictates continuing for much longer, especially if professional help is expected. During the airport scene, the bomber's phone reads 2:13 a.m. before and after a long chase and fight. This continuity error makes the passage of time inconsistent. Bond's poisoning scene inaccurately depicts the severity of ventricular tachycardia. A heart rate of 134 to 136 BPM isn't immediately life-threatening. For realism, it should be at least 180 to 200 BPM. Additionally, obtaining an ECG trace with one lead unplugged is implausible, and ventricular fibrillation would have been a more realistic near-death cause. In the airport scene, police shoot the fuel truck's tires, yet moments later they appear undamaged. During the final poker game, players reveal their cards in order, ending with Bond. However, in real poker, the last aggressive player, Bond in this case, should reveal first. The dealer ignores this rule for dramatic effect. Just before Bond crashes the Aston Martin, the speedometer shows the car isn't moving. An explosion or terrorist threat would shut down an airport, grounding flights. Despite multiple incidents, Miami airport operations continue as normal in the film. When Bond receives his Aston Martin, he leaves the driver's door open while inspecting the hidden compartments. After closing the compartments, the door is suddenly closed, then open again when he exits. Le Chiffre incorrectly exhales while using his inhaler. The proper method is to inhale the medication. Bond is wrongly advised to use the defibrillator and combo pen for digitalis poisoning. Defibrillation can worsen the condition, and the combo pen is ineffective. The correct antidote is Digifab or lidocaine for arrhythmias. While fighting a villain in a sinking house, Bond electrocutes him using an exposed wire. However, since their wet clothes connects them, Bond should have been shocked as well. When Bond arrives in Nassau, he drives on the right side, like in America. However, in Nassau, driving is on the left side, like in England. At Miami Airport, a smashed police car that had already stopped suddenly rotates 180 degrees between shots. James Bond is underwater trying to rescue Vesper. However, he continuously exhales bubbles for nearly a minute, which is unrealistic since no one has that much lung capacity to sustain prolonged exhalation while functioning underwater. After Vesper inserts the red wire into the defibrillator and presses the button, the wire falls onto Bond's chest. In the next shot, it is reinserted. Bond specifies that his Vesper drink should have a thin slice of lemon peel. However, in a close-up shot, the lemon peel is missing, and a pitted olive appears in the glass instead. During the opening chase, Bond breaks a control box on a scissor lift, causing hydraulic fluid to spray and the lift to drop. In reality, this would not happen, as hydraulics are in the base. When Bond passes out, his heart monitor flatlines, indicating asystole. However, a defibrillator cannot correct asystole. Throughout the movie, Bond is seen switching the safety on his Walter P99. However, this model had no external safety lever, only internal safeties and a safety trigger that must be properly engaged. To create the Montenegro setting, most signs were changed to Montenegrin or Serbian. However, in one scene, a Czech sign, Billy Kuhn, is still visible. When Bond gets a tracker implanted in his arm, he scans it with a device. However, the on-screen display shows the tracker's location closer to his wrists than where it was actually inserted, as indicated by the blood mark on his arm. Bond shoots a propane tank with a 9mm, causing an explosion. However, a 9mm round cannot puncture such a tank, and even if it did, it would only release gas. Mythbusters tested this and confirmed that neither armor-piercing nor incendiary rounds could cause an explosion. At the end of the film, Vesper enters her name as the password but does not press an Enter key. Since passwords required at least 6 characters, the system should have required a termination command before accepting the input. Le Chiffre tortures Bond for a password to transfer the poker winnings, assuming Vesper has the account number. However, even with this information, he cannot access the funds, as only the Swiss banker can authorize the transfer to the Treasury's bank account. Bond's assault on the Nambutu embassy occurs on July 6, 2006. However, a news website displaying CCTV footage of the event highlights Tuesday 28th on its calendar, which is incorrect. A later event in the movie confirms the timeline discrepancy. In the fight scene with the cobra, the snake is shown with long fangs in the front of its mouth. However, cobras do not have such fangs. Their venomous teeth are smaller and positioned toward the back of the mouth.